The Cleveland Browns send 5 players to the Pro Bowl. We're going to break that all down now on your latest Locked On Browns, which starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on ELOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, and of course, I appreciate each and every one of you that make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. To the everyday crowd you want to be in, well, if you're not in, then you got to make a new plan stand. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. You guys see the rundown for the today. Obviously, a lot to get to. We'll be back tomorrow with a pregame show. There is a crossover. There's a lot of content out this week. So make sure you're part of the everyday crowd and you're not missing a beat. As I said, Cleveland Browns with 5 players named to the Pro Bowl. 3 named as starters, 2 named as as back reserves, 6 named obviously as alternates. Joe Bitonio, big old left guard, 6 straight Pro Bowls for Joe Bitonio. We're starting to get to the point of Joe Bitonio's career, and not talking about it being over, but is he a candidate to possibly one day go to Canton, Ohio? Not sure. Interior offensive line play is always difficult, but Joe Bitonio has just been an absolute beast in his time here. There was an episode back in the day. Of course, Joel joined Pete Smith and I one time and was fantastic to talk to. It's really, really, you start to take a little reflection and look back. It's been a hell of a run for number 75, and congratulations, Joel Bitonio, once again, headed to the Pro Bowl. Amari Cooper, his 5th selection overall, his first one here, obviously, with the Cleveland Browns. Who knows what it could have been for, Amari this year. Most likely not going to play this week. Didn't practice yet today. Just says rest. It's, pretty much the reason he's not out there. Also probably not out there if they're not planning on playing this week. But, Amari had an opportunity, about a 1,400-yard season. Who knows? Maybe 1,500 yards if he got to play that Thursday night game. If this game this week meant something. But Amari Cooper, his 5th career Pro Bowl. Myles Garrett, 5th Pro Bowl for number 95. It's not enough superlatives. It'll be a disappointment if Myles Garrett is not named Defensive Player of the Year. I don't want to hear it, Steeler fans. Maybe Micah Parsons and the Cowboys have an argument. Myles has been in the running for that award every year. Problem is the Browns have kind of snowballed towards the end of the season. It's not going that way this year. Number 95 is a legitimate candidate. In my opinion, it will be a miscarriage of justice if Myles Garrett does not win Defensive Player of the Year this year. David Njoku, chosen as a reserve, but number 85, over 80 receptions, over 800 yards. Again, a guy who probably won't play this week. So the numbers we see for David are obviously probably finalized. One of his biggest game of the season when it mattered. No Amari Cooper, week 17, Thursday Night Football against the New York Jets. And the Jets had no answers for number 85 and 100-yard first quarter. And before you knew it, that game was over. Congratulations, David. Denzel Ward, and this does get a little tricky. Denzel Ward, certainly some time missed this year, but does go to his 3rd Pro Bowl. You go back to that draft, Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb. Obviously at times Baker Mayfield worked out. Denzel Ward is 100% worked out. Nick Chubb, of course, 100% worked out. So congratulations, Denzel Ward, third Pro Bowl. If you felt maybe Martin Emerson maybe deserved it on more playing time this year, I'm not going to argue with you. And, look, all of these things are subjective. At the end of the day, I don't care about the Pro Bowl. I hope none of the Browns, wink, wink, are able to participate in any of this stuff. As far as alternates, both Brown specialists, Corey Baraquez, he is an alternate for the Pro Bowl. Everything appears, all systems go, that Corey will be back punting for the Browns this week, Sunday in Cincinnati. Dustin Hopkins, if you felt he should have been the kicker for the AFC team, which will never play a football game, can't argue. Dustin Hopkins has been tremendous this year. And obviously there have been so many clutch kicks for Dustin Hopkins this year. The Baltimore game on the road, following week in Pittsburgh. D-Hop has been crucial this year for the Cleveland Browns' success. And we'll see if, he'll be available for the playoffs, because when this injury happened, obviously everything was, week to week. Kicker position is so difficult, obviously, as far as, balance, weight transfer, power in his leg, and you really can't have a kicker going out there if they're not 100%. So Dustin Hopkins, alternate to the Pro Bowl. Grant Delpit, first one, obviously, any association of the Pro Bowl. Big year for Grant. Obviously, a lot of success. Gets the contract extension. Now gets his name bumped in here as an alternate for the Pro Bowl. And, of course, hoping that he will be available and back for the first round of the playoffs. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, it's been, third-year breakout. And, who knows? Maybe things would have went better last year. Of course, there wasn't defensive tackle play. But JOK, and look, he's got to play around two good guys and learn from a couple of guys over the last couple of years. Anthony Walker, a tremendous mental player. His read recognition ability, his film work. There's not enough superlatives that people talk about when they talk about Anthony Walker. Obviously, JOK maybe has picked up some there. So all the athletic gifts in the world, and JOK has really stepped up. Ethan Posick, Wyatt Teller, both selected as alternates. Obviously, congratulations to both. Look, not everybody on the Browns can go to the Pro Bowl. Okay. I mean, I understand. And, do I feel some guys got snubbed? Is there a guy with sub out to maybe sub in another Cleveland Brown? Yes, but not everybody can go to the Pro Bowl. So, I get it, but not everybody from the Browns was going to the Pro Bowl. A lot of guys for the Cleveland Browns toted the mail this year, did their job, excelled, stepped up. A lot of superlatives you can put on a lot of players for the Cleveland Browns. But at the end of the day, there's just no way all these guys were going to get to the Pro Bowl, which still seems so weird to say because there is no such thing as the actual Pro Bowl anymore. But the Browns, 5 guys into the game, 6 guys as alternates. And what does that tell you? This product in Cleveland is real, and it's going to be real for the foreseeable future. We're going to move it on here. I'm going to talk a little Jim Schwartz, and this is something I was waiting for, and hopefully, this was to be a topic we would start to talk about, once the regular season ended. But, they brought it to him. Jim spoke on it, so we're going to speak on it. Your latest Locked On Browns continues. Don't go anywhere. At the start of the new year, every small business owner is asking themselves the same question. What's the one move I can make that'll make my business to the next level in 2024? LinkedIn Jobs knows that success all depends on the team you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn is a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. There are 1 million reasons to get your name on LinkedIn, but 1 billion other people, you want to be in a network that big. Have yourself discovered. LinkedIn Jobs is number one delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire, but when they need to hit on that hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, it's quick, and it's easy. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. And of course, I appreciate you all who come out and make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd keeps getting bigger and bigger. And if you're not in yet, get on the bus, subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. You are in and join the party with all of us. Of course, the show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Now, as I mentioned here, in regards to Jim Schwartz, now there was obviously a lot of talk when Jim originally came to Cleveland. Jim had been a former head coach with the Detroit Lions. Jim won a Super Bowl ring as a defense coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. And, you need to get back in. And Jim Schwartz obviously comes here, becomes defense coordinator of the Cleveland Browns. Andrew Berry and his staff just absolutely go to work and realize that they have to get talent in the building. You don't chase after a guy like Jim Schwartz. You don't chase after a name brand defensive coordinator and expect the guy to make chicken salad out of chicken. You all know the rest of that expression, of course. So you sign Ogbenaya Okoronkwo. You sign Dalvin Tomlinson. You sign Juan Thornhill. You bring back Anthony Walker. You bring back Sione Takitaki. You go into the draft. You get Siaki Ika. You bring in Isaiah McGuire. Let's not forget Maurice Hurst, God forbid, because he was an incredible player for this team this year. You get out of the draft and you say, yeah, we've done pretty good. And then you go get Zadarius Smith. Not to mention, obviously, of course, Rodney McLeod comes in late in the summer. The guy has been part of that Jim Schwartz wave. And you just let your man go to work with this great talent. And again, talent doesn't normally equate to success. There's got to be somebody that takes it, puts it all together, gets all these guys to function as one, and then have it become the product that it did right out the gate week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals, right out of the gate week 3 against the Tennessee Titans. 2 of the Browns' first 3 games, they held their opponent to under 100 total yards. That's a hell of a job. And now with that, what comes with it, and of course they asked Jim today, is becoming a head coach in the NFL again, something that, you're interested in. And you don't get to the point of success that Jim Schwartz has without having that inner fire, without having that desire for more. And look, some guys, every now and then, they might be wired a little bit differently, and their goal set might be, hey, I want to achieve this level and I won't think about it. But Jim's already been a head coach. And sometimes the second time, it's all the things in your mind that, hey, if I could have done this, I should have done this. I would have done this differently. And, now Jim has had 2 successful stops, obviously with the Eagles, and certainly in 1 year here with the Cleveland Browns. And maybe feels a little bit more confident within himself and knows maybe what he would do differently if he were to ever get that opportunity where somebody handed him the keys to their franchise as the head coach and said, Jim, go mold this team. Now, is he a real viable head coaching option? First things first, we got to see how many jobs are actually open. And for Jim Schwartz, you're not running to just any job. He's not going down to Carolina. He's not, it's got to be the right job. It's got to be the right fitting. It's got to be the right amount of possible resources financially, draft capital. You don't want to go do this and flame out again if you're Jim Schwartz. The other thing is Jim is not, a young man anymore. head coaches in the NFL, everybody's looking for the new hot shot whiz kid, so to speak. This all obviously kind of started with Sean McVay and the Mike McDaniels of the world. And of course the Shanahans, and all of that stuff. But, is Jim worthy of getting interviews? 100%. There is no question about it. And being able to do what he did with this Browns defense in one season certainly, puts that, marker and puts him back higher up in that pecking order. Do I think at the end of the day, when the coaching cycles are over, is Jim Schwartz going to have the opportunity to say yes or no to a head coaching job for the 2024 season? My brain tells me no. And it's not that Jim isn't worthy of it, but they're, like I said, the younger guys, the hotshot whiz kids, a certain guy who resides right now in Ann Arbor, Michigan, is most likely going to jump ship before, the hammer drops down from the NCAA. So there is another name, obviously, that's going to be in contention for a head coaching job in the NFL here in 2024. I think part of it is I think Jim's in a really, really good place right now. And this is one of the things that, the Browns were able to do. And with Bill Callahan is, a veteran guy, kind of had a little bit of a shot and just kind of found his niche and where he's comfortable. And, you can be around your family. Look, being a head coach in the NFL, it is a bad, bad life. It is a really, really difficult life. The amount of time that is dedicated to the job of being a head coach of an NFL franchise is exhausting. You don't get to see the simple things. You don't get to see, your kids as much as anybody else, if at all. Missing things. Your wife, the amount of the divorce rate among coaches is not, it's not good. You just want to be able to have, if you can have the perfect balance, that's what, a lot of people in this world are striving for. And I'm just going from my own life, and I don't even have the stress of an NFL job, trying to balance, taking care of my mom, my wife, my daughters. It's a lot, man. It really is. And, you never want to have, your job be your life. You would like to have a great balance between job and life and everything else. If the opportunity comes and Jim Schwartz takes it, God bless him and all the best to him, because he certainly put a plan in place here for the Browns where this defense should be sustainable, even if he does leave. My thinking, though, is at the end of the day, it might not work in Jim Schwartz's favor due to age, due to the fact that, he's been out of the head coach circle for quite a while. Could it change? It could. Maybe part of me just wants to keep Jim Schwartz in Cleveland for a little bit. But we're talking about balance. We're talking about best for everybody as far as getting through their day-to-day life. We're going to talk on that in just a second, and then we're going to get to segment 3. Stick around, everybody. BetterHelp. We are at that point. It is the new year. And look, everybody gets so caught up in what everything is going on and all the newness and everything you want to accomplish with that. That is not what it should be about if you're truly trying to achieve great mental health. It should be about what is going well for you and what you need to continue to do well to keep yourself on the everyday path. And that's where something like BetterHelp comes in. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Now, we get to this point. Now, a lot of people, if you haven't, and look, I'm going to admit it, I never thought I'd be somebody that sought out therapy. But when I lost my brother, and then 11 months later, I lost my father, my world was rocked. So reaching out and getting somebody to talk to was probably the smartest move I ever made in my entire life, because it helped me maintain myself which helped me have a better relationship in helping my mother dealing with those losses and being the best husband I can be and the best father I can be. Look, BetterHelp is done entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your own schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/locked on. Going to close it out here. Obviously, got a bunch of content so far this week. We will get back at you tomorrow with a final Week 18 pregame show as we go down to Cincinnati. And Jamar Chase, we're coming. And your attitude seems to be a little bit different than it was in Week 1. But we'll see how it works out. Practice today for the Cleveland Browns. And if you like CBS receipts, well, then you're going to love the Cleveland Browns injury report. Look, Joe Bitonio, 2 straight days, DNP. Joe Bitonio was not playing on Sunday. Book it. Baraquez limited 2 straight days, but they cut the other punter, so obviously Baraquez most likely is punting. Amari Cooper, 2 straight days, DNP, rest, heal. They don't believe. All this tells me is Amari Cooper's not playing on Sunday. Joe Flacco, calf. He practiced. Joe's not playing. We know that. Mike Ford, 2 straight DNPs. Browns, one of the better special teams players. He's not playing on Sunday is my guess as well. Myles Garrett, 2 straight days, full practices. Doesn't matter. Myles Garrett's not playing. Marquise Goodwin, limited. Marquise Goodwin is going to play and probably play a good amount on Sunday. Duron Harmon. Now, this is a tough one. Duron Harmon went from limited yesterday to DNP today. Don't think Duron Harmon's going to play in the Week 18 matchup. Shelby Harris, no practice yesterday. DNP today. I'm not sure what the defensive tackle plan is going to be, but I don't believe he is going to be there. Dustin Hopkins, as we know, Kareem Hunt limited today. Jordan Kunaszyk didn't practice. Absolute lost season for Jordan Kunaszyk. Really, really sucks to see. Elijah Moore back out there looking good. None of this is about Week 18. This is all about the playoff game, obviously, for Elijah Moore. Greg Newsome, 2 straight days, DNP. Greg Newsome ain't playing Sunday. David Njoku, limited practice today. Illness, maybe caught something in that stray Miller Lite he had at the game the other night. I don't think David Njoku's playing. Ogbo, 2nd straight day out there participating. Really good sign that you'll have him in some capacity for the playoff game. Ethan Posick, 2 straight days, didn't practice. Nick Harris, you're up. Wyatt Teller, limited 2 straight days. I don't know how they would be able to pull it off. I'm assuming Wyatt Teller is going to have to take some snaps on Sunday. Juan Thornhill, limited. We'll see how that one works out. Anthony Walker, there is no reason to bring Anthony Walker back at this point. Obviously, Anthony Walker, all eyes would be towards the potential playoff game. Denzel Ward, 2 straight days of full practices. Don't think it's going to matter. 2 players did not practice for the Cincinnati Bengals. T. Higgins, hamstring. T. Higgins, do I think he's going to play? No. If I'm T. Higgins, I am looking towards free agency. And you got every right to, kid. Go get your money. You've earned it. And also not practicing, Joe Mixon. I don't know what to make of that. And, maybe for the Bengals, it's time to maybe give the younger guys a little look here and see where it is, because there was obviously a lot of discussion about whether or not Joe Mixon was going to be part of the 2023 Bengals. And if it took that long for it to work out, you got to think that maybe Joe Mixon will not be a part of the 2024 Cincinnati Bengals. Like I said, we'll get to a pregame show tomorrow. Obviously this late in the season, it's really, really hard to figure out and give you a pregame show. Early, we got to go as late as possible, give you guys as much current information as we have. Dalvin Cook did clear waivers. Dalvin Cook did sign with the Baltimore Ravens. Whatever. He's not going to take snaps from Gus Edwards. He's not going to take snaps from Justice Hill. And for the Browns fans, look, this is my thing here. Once we saw that Elijah Moore was trending towards playing for the playoffs, that made a difficult spot for me to find a way to bring in Dalvin Cook. If you told me we had to use Jerome Ford as a receiver a little bit more, because maybe we weren't going to have Elijah, but it looks like we should have Elijah. You're going to have Jerome Ford, 1,100 yards total. 9 touchdowns this season for Jerome Ford. Kareem Hunt, 9 touchdowns. You tell me Dalvin Cook's on this team, you're going to dress him over Pierre Strong, who is also your kick returner, and your gunner on the punt team. Those things weren't going to happen. I'm sure everybody's going to have it, and be all up in arms because, he did go to Baltimore. He might even touch the ball in the playoffs. Melvin Gordon hasn't done a terrible job for that team. I ain't going to lose no sleep over the fact that Dalvin Cook just signed with the Baltimore Ravens. I got to be honest. Browns were able to beat that team in Baltimore. And Dalvin Cook, whatever. I'm not, again, just not losing any sleep over it. For the Browns, we'll get back at it with you guys tomorrow. Great, obviously, past 24 hours, hearing the Browns mentioned so much in regards to the Pro Bowl tells you the product has changed. Jim Schwartz, it's a real conversation to be had. As much as I'd love Jim to stick around, a man's got to look out for himself. And obviously the Browns have a litany of guys trending towards not playing on Sunday. Hopefully we get a little more clarity tomorrow. I am Jeff Lloyd. I have been your host of Locked On Browns now for 7 years. I will be here another 7 years, good Lord willing. I appreciate each and every one of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen each and every day. The show is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. And you don't need to know nobody. You don't need a passcode. You don't need a guy. You want in and becoming a Locked On Browns everydayer, just subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.